Welcome to Midweek News, episode 123 for April 17th, 2025. We've got some interesting ones in store for you today. Let's get started. A cure for brain rot? Try using a dumb phone. Using a phone with fewer features might just be an answer for some people. I suspect those of us who have real work to get done and need a phone with multi-factor authentication apps will have a hard time. Perhaps just using the Do Not Disturb feature and other features built into modern phones will reduce distractions enough during working hours for a lot of people. Browser-based Quake II? In an attempt to make Copilot appealing for people, Microsoft has built a browser-based version of Quake II. Meanwhile, this might be an example of the tail wagging the dog, since they are also removing a common workaround in Windows that allows the tech-savvy to bypass the Microsoft account requirement. Intergenerational mentoring. Is it key to the AI future in cybersecurity? It's a fact that different generations have different ways of approaching problems. Sharing skills is never a bad thing, and while there may be some resistance on both sides, if it's for the greater good of moving cybersecurity forward, we may all need to swallow our pride and share knowledge. NIST to introduce deferred status to dated vulnerabilities. NIST has announced that all CVEs published before 1/1/2018 will be marked as deferred within the National Vulnerability Database. It may take some time for your patching management software to catch up to this change. This is a direct response to the large number of vulnerabilities that have been reported over the past few years and will allow for easier prioritization of those vulnerabilities. A mainframe with AI capabilities? You heard that correctly. IBM have announced the Z17 mainframe with the Telum 2 processor. The Telum 2 processor features a second-generation on-chip AI accelerator. The Spire accelerator is an add-on option which will be available in Q4 2025 and can bring generative AI capabilities to the mainframe. ZOS 3.2 is planned to release in the third quarter of 2025 and will support the new capabilities. Ubiquiti Ethernet to USB-C PoE adapter. Willie Howe published a great overview video on this novel device from Ubiquiti. Convert PoE to a USB-C interface to charge your phone in a pinch or for other devices you may need in a remote area. Check out the video for more details. FreeDOS 1.4 has been released. If you're nostalgic for old DOS games and want an easy way to install it, FreeDOS has got you covered. Fire up a virtual machine or write floppies and install it on your legacy DOS box for some classic fun. Framework and Razer have both, at least temporarily, paused laptop sales in the US. Yes, they're resumed for now, but it's worth noting. If you're looking for a new laptop, you may not want to wait and take advantage of the tariffs being paused. Waiting until the fall may have you set up for a rude awakening. There's always the used market where there are no tariffs. It's going to be a bumpy ride for a while, and the consumers are ultimately going to be the losers in this scenario. Did you know that only 26% of people that watch my videos on a regular basis are subscribed? What's stopping you? Take a moment right now and hit that subscribe button and get notified of new videos and other content that are coming to the Practical IT channel. Of particular interest, I've got a new Proxmox series coming out, which should launch before the end of the month for the first couple of videos. You'll want to check next week's Midweek News for a potential announcement on this development. And now, back to the news. Ubuntu adds support for relatively inexpensive RISC-V board. The Orange Pi 5 RV2 8GB is only $64. If you wanted a way to experience what RISC-V is capable of, this might be a solution for you. Available in 2, 4, or 8 gigs of LPDDR4X, dual gigabit Ethernet, HDMI 2 M-key M.2 slots, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. While I am curious about RISC-V, this is not at the top of my purchase list right now. Perhaps in the fall or in 2026, I'll get my hands on a RISC-V board of some variety to do a deep dive. Taking a quick look at Amazon, it appears only the 2 and 4 gig models are currently available. Cardo is a GUI podcast client written in TypeScript. The article focuses on installation on Manjaro and Ubuntu. The app is actually available on macOS and Windows as well. The podcasts I do follow normally are available on YouTube, so I'm not sure how much I see myself using this software, but it's always nice to know about new apps that are available. Linux Mint Debian Edition version 7 to get OEM install support. One of the features that has kept me coming back to Mint has been the OEM install. Having this feature move to the Debian version of Mint will be a nice addition going forward. Stay tuned. Once LMDE 7 is released, we will deep dive into how this feature compares to the Ubuntu-based version of Mint. RClone Shuttle. Once you get past the initial command line configuration of RClone, many people like the convenience of a GUI even if it is only used occasionally. RClone Shuttle is a piece of GUI software. It looks nicer than the RClone browser software that is currently available. This project seems to be in early development and available only for Linux at the moment. Still, it's nice to have options. One of the things that has kept me in the open source circles is that you can watch something evolve over time and become a useful piece of everyday software. If you have a Linux box and use RClone, give this a try and report bugs you might find. I will be doing some testing myself and see what I can find that might be missing, or maybe a good suggestion for a feature enhancement. 31 years after the demise of Commodore, the AmigaOS has received a 2025 update. The current owners of AmigaOS, Hyperion Entertainment, have just released Update 3 for AmigaOS 3.2. If you still have a classic Motorola 68000 series Amiga sitting in storage, now might be a great time to dust it off and grab the newest version of AmigaOS and relive some of the best moments of the late 80s and early 90s. If you're not lucky enough to have a physical Amiga, you can check out Amiga Forever and dip your toe into the Amiga scene as it exists in 2025. Power comes in the form of Linux shell environment variables. From the fine people over at Linux Journal, they have brought us another great article. This time they are talking about shell environment variables. For those Mac users in the audience, you will find several of these will work just fine in your macOS terminal. Windows users may have to make some adjustments, but there are parallels that exist in both the classic command line interface as well as PowerShell. If you're serious about automation, regardless of platform, you will want to do some reading on the topic of environment variables. Was Windows 2000 the peak of Microsoft? According to the article from the Register, based on data from readers, Microsoft has been on a downhill slide since Clippy. Yes, they've been around for 50 years now, and Microsoft isn't going away anytime soon. It is reassuring to find out that others out there agree that Windows 2000 was one of, if not the best, that Microsoft has produced. Sure, it was not without its problems, but those problems did not include forcing a Microsoft account or injecting advertising into the OS itself. I can honestly say that Windows 2000 was the last version of Windows that I was relatively content using. All the subsequent versions have been full of annoyances that have kept me from taking it seriously outside of a work/employment environment. Pinta 3.0, an open source paint program, has been released. I've had the chance to use the Windows version of this software at work to aid in the creation of some new documentation. And for someone like me who is artistically challenged, it was easy enough to accomplish what I set out to do. The program is relatively lightweight and had enough features to get me through the documentation project, which involved pulling screenshots from my phone. There are a lot of features in this version and features I will likely never use. My needs are relatively simple, and this doesn't seem as overwhelming as GIMP sometimes does. Your mileage may vary. It's cross-platform, running on Linux, macOS, and Windows. Check it out. You might just be surprised. And that, my loyal viewers, will bring us to the end of another midweek news. One more time, I'm going to remind you, take a moment, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week.